Ladies and gentlemen, in a world where everyone's trying to be seen, heard, and validated, it's easy to forget something powerful, something simple, something that can transform your journey, your success, without ever needing to shout about it. I'm here to remind you of a truth that's often lost in the noise. Work hard in silence. Let your actions, not your words, speak for themselves. The world doesn't need to know every step you take. Your results will do the talking. Today, I want to share why this principle, working in silence, is a secret weapon. A weapon that doesn't just lead to success, but also to respect, fulfillment, and peace of mind. Break it down. The world is a chaotic place, constantly bombarding us with distractions. Everywhere you look, there's something pulling your attention away. Social media, the latest trends, the opinions of people who don't even know you. It's all noise. It's easy to get caught up in it. We live in a time where people are conditioned to respond to every ping, every notification, every comment, as if our self-worth depends on it. And here's the thing, if you let the noise control you, you will never find the peace or the focus necessary to build anything meaningful. When you decide to work in silence, you make a choice. You decide that your energy, your time, your focus is too valuable to be scattered. And let me tell you something, the power of focus is everything. It's about shutting out the distractions, narrowing your vision to what truly matters, and committing to it day after day, even when nobody is watching. Focus is the foundation upon which success is built. It's the ability to lock in on your goal, to block out the unnecessary chatter, and to put in the work, even when the world doesn't seem to notice. Think about the legends, the people who have changed the world, who have shaped industries, who have created movements. Were they constantly checking their phones? Were they worried about the opinions of every person they crossed paths with? Were they concerned with whether people thought they were cool or liked what they were doing? No, they didn't have the time for that. They were focused, they knew what they were about, and nothing, not the noise of the world, not the doubts of others, not even their own struggles, could pull them off course. Take someone like Steve Jobs. When he was working in that garage trying to build the first Apple computer, nobody believed in him. People laughed. They thought he was wasting his time. The tech world thought he was a fool. But what they didn't see, what they didn't understand, was the vision that was driving him. They didn't see the countless sleepless nights, the struggles, the failures, the moments when he felt like giving up. They didn't see the quiet frustration that built in him every time someone doubted him. What they saw, much later, was the result. They saw the brand, the empire, the revolution in technology. But they didn't see the work. They didn't see the focus. They didn't see the silence. They didn't see him honing his craft, refusing to be distracted by the noise of the world. And that's the lesson here. The work is done in silence. The real magic happens when you are focused on the task at hand, when you block out the distractions, when you commit yourself to the vision, even when no one else can see it. You've got to lock in. You've got to believe in your vision, even when others don't. It's not about the applause or the praise. It's about staying focused on what matters. And when you do that, when you put in the work without needing the validation, without needing the recognition, something powerful happens. The world can't help but notice. You see, focus isn't just about ignoring the noise. It's about directing your energy towards something greater. It's about narrowing your vision so that every ounce of effort you put in goes towards building something that will stand the test of time. Focus is about saying no to everything that doesn't align with your mission. It's about making choices that might seem difficult in the moment, but pay off in the long run. I want you to think about all the times you've been tempted to get sidetracked. Think about the distractions, the things that pull you away from what you know you should be doing. Maybe it's social media. Maybe it's the opinions of people who don't matter. Maybe it's the pressure to keep up with everyone else's success. It's easy to get lost in that. It's easy to let the world tell you where to focus your attention. But when you work in silence, you take control. You decide where your energy goes. You decide what's worth your time. Let me tell you something. There is so much power in staying focused on your own path. You don't need to explain your hustle to anyone. You don't need to justify your dream to anyone. You just need to keep moving forward. And as you do that, as you continue to put in the work, something amazing happens. You start to build momentum. You start to see progress, and eventually the results speak for themselves. But here's the thing. You have to be patient. You have to be willing to trust the process. Success doesn't come overnight. You can't expect the world to recognize your work as soon as you start. It takes time, it takes perseverance, and it takes an unshakable focus on what you're building. Focus allows you to block out the noise and put your head down, doing the work without constantly looking over your shoulder. It's like running a race with blinders on. You don't need to know what's happening in the crowd. You don't need to see what anyone else is doing. Your only focus is the finish line ahead of you. This is why it's so important to cultivate that kind of focus in your life. Without it, you're going to get lost in the noise. You're going to get distracted by things that don't serve your purpose. And you're going to waste your energy on things that won't get you closer to your goals. So when you work in silence, when you focus on what truly matters, you give yourself the best shot at success. You give yourself the freedom to pursue your dreams without being weighed down by the expectations of others. You stop worrying about who's watching, who's talking, and you start focusing on what's important. The work itself, and that's the beauty of working in silence. You don't need to explain every step of your journey. You don't need to defend every choice you make. You don't need to seek approval. The results will speak for themselves. The focus, the determination, the quiet hustle will be what separates you from the rest. So remember this, the power of focus is not just about shutting out the distractions. It's about staying locked in on what matters, giving your energy to the work that will get you to where you want to go, and letting the results speak for themselves. The world doesn't need to see every step you take. Your success will show them everything they need to know. Keep moving forward, stay focused, and let your work do the talking. When you work in silence, you don't just build strength. You forge resilience in ways that others will never understand. Strength isn't just about lifting heavy weights or pushing your body to its limits. It's about something deeper, something more foundational. It's about endurance. It's about continuing to push through when the world tells you to stop, when everything in your life feels like it's falling apart. Real strength is found in the quiet moments when nobody's watching. And when you don't seek validation, when you refuse to make a spectacle of your struggle, that's when you become unshakable. You see, the grind, the daily work, the unseen effort, the times when you're on the floor exhausted and no one else knows, that's what shapes you. It's easy to think of strength as something that's only visible to others, but real strength is built in private. It's built when no one is cheering for you, when no one is telling you how great you are, when no one even notices what you're doing. But let me tell you something. This is where the magic happens. The silence, the struggle, that's where you become something more. Look at someone like Michael Jordan. We all know him as the greatest basketball player to ever play the game. But what most people don't realize is that his success didn't come from running his mouth or boasting about his skills. Jordan wasn't out there hyping himself up every day, talking about how great he was going to be. He didn't walk into that gym looking for validation from the media or from fans. He showed up when no one else would, working on his jump shot, working on his defense, refining his game, and most importantly, practicing his mindset. You don't think he went through doubt? You don't think there were days when he wanted to quit? But instead of showing the world his frustration, he stayed silent, stayed focused. And that silence, that relentless dedication to the grind, built something within him that nobody could break. His silence didn't just make him a better player. It made him stronger, mentally and emotionally. It gave him a resilience that showed up when the pressure was at its highest. We all face those moments. The times when you feel like quitting, when everything seems stacked against you. The times when you question your path, when nobody is around to tell you that you're doing a good job, when no one is cheering for you. It's in these moments that true strength is built. When you keep pushing forward despite the obstacles, despite the setbacks, despite the moments of doubt, that's when you grow. That's when the foundation of real strength is being laid. But here's the thing, when you do this in silence, you don't need applause. You don't need everyone to see what you're going through. And you certainly don't need people to praise you for your effort. It's not about the external recognition. It's about the internal strength you develop when you refuse to quit, when you refuse to stop grinding, when you keep moving forward no matter what. The silence forces you to rely on yourself. It builds your confidence because you're doing the work for no other reason than the belief that it will pay off. That belief is where your true power lies. Every time you choose to stay quiet, to keep working when no one's watching, you are building strength. You're conditioning your mind to push through any challenge that life throws at you. And let me tell you something, that strength will be your anchor when everything else is falling apart. When you've been grinding in the dark, when you've been putting in the work behind the scenes, you become unshakable. Life can throw whatever it wants at you. But when you've been through the struggle in silence, when you've been building strength in the dark, you'll face those challenges head on and with confidence. That's the power of silence. It doesn't just make you stronger physically, but it strengthens you emotionally and mentally. The people who make the most noise are often the ones who are struggling to find something real within themselves. They are the ones who need constant validation because they don't have the inner strength to stand on their own. But when you work in silence, when you build your strength without the need for applause, you learn something important. You learn that you don't need anyone else's approval to know that you're on the right path. You learn that your resilience comes from within, not from the praise of others. This is something that you can apply to every area of your life, whether it's in your career, your relationships, or your personal growth. The silence, the unseen work, that's where the strength comes from. When you choose to put in the effort without needing to tell the world about it, you start to build a foundation that can withstand anything. You'll encounter obstacles, you'll face challenges that seem insurmountable, but because you've been working in silence, you'll have the mental toughness to push through. You'll have the emotional endurance to keep going when others would have quit. Think about the quiet warriors in your life, the people who keep going even when no one is watching. They're the ones who don't seek attention, but you know, deep down, that they're the strongest people in the room. They're the ones who show up every day, who put in the work without expecting anything in return. They might not be the loudest or the flashiest, but they're the ones who endure. They're the ones who get it done. And that's what you need to understand. Strength isn't about making noise. It's about doing the work. It's about showing up, even when it's hard. It's about continuing to push, to grind, to move forward, even when no one is there to cheer you on. That's when you're building real strength. And when you do that, when you build that resilience in silence, you'll come out on the other side stronger than you could ever imagine. You'll be ready for anything because you've already faced the hardest part, doing the work when no one else was watching. That's what makes you unstoppable. We live in a world that's obsessed with instant recognition. Everyone wants to be seen, heard, validated. It's as if people can't take a single step without broadcasting it for the world to see. Social media has become a stage where everyone's trying to be the star. But let me tell you something. There's something far more powerful than talking about what you're going to do, what you've done, or what you plan to achieve. And that power lies in letting your work speak for itself. There's a deep truth here. Results are louder than words. When you let your actions do the talking, you strip away all the noise. You don't need to announce every little move you make. You don't need to be the loudest voice in the room, because your results, the work you've put in, the impact you've made, will speak louder than anything you could ever say. The greatest leaders, the most successful people, don't spend their time hyping themselves up. They just put in the work. And that work, when it's done right, speaks for itself. Think about someone like Warren Buffett. He's one of the most successful investors in the world, yet you'll rarely hear him boast about his next big move or try to hype up his investments. He doesn't need to. His portfolio does the talking. The results of his decisions, the value he's built over decades. That's all the proof anyone needs. He doesn't waste time talking about it because he knows the real power lies in the work, not in the words. And that's the kind of power you need to embrace. In a world that's all about the loudest voice, about seeking attention and validation, there's something sacred about quietly going about your business, putting in the effort and letting your results speak for themselves. You don't need a megaphone to show your worth. You don't need to shout from the rooftops every time you make a move. Your work ethic, your progress, your results, that will be the loudest voice you'll ever need. Let's be clear. The more you focus on results, the less you need to talk about it. It's easy to fall into the trap of wanting to announce every step of your journey, to share every little success. It's easy to get caught up in the world of self-promotion, to think that you need others to see your hard work in order to feel validated. But the truth is, if your focus is on the work, on getting better every single day, the results will speak for themselves and the world will take notice. Take a moment and think about those people in your life who have made a real impact. The ones who don't need to boast, who don't need to put on a show, the ones who just show up and get it done. You've seen them, right? They're the ones who quietly change the game without ever seeking attention. They just keep their heads down and work, and before you know it, their impact is undeniable. That's the power of letting your results speak. You know what else? It takes a level of discipline to live this way. It requires you to put your pride aside and not seek validation for every accomplishment. It takes confidence to know that you don't need anyone's applause. You don't need constant recognition to know you're on the right track. You know that the work you're putting in today is building something powerful, something real, and you don't need to shout about it. I want you to think about the times you've been tempted to announce your progress, to tell everyone about the big moves you're making. Maybe it's that new project you're working on or that idea you're about to launch. It feels good, right? The thought of getting that approval, hearing someone say, "Wow, that's amazing." But here's the reality. When you focus on the results, on the effort, and on doing your best work, you take the pressure off yourself. You don't need to chase approval anymore. You don't need to wait for someone to tell you how great you are. Instead, your results will speak for you. They'll announce to the world that you've put in the work, that you've earned your place. And the beauty of this is that when you let your results speak, you're not relying on anyone else to give you credit. The work stands on its own. The effort stands on its own. You can be proud of what you've done because you know it came from your dedication, from your sacrifice, from the grind. And don't get me wrong, it's not easy. It's not easy to stay quiet when the world around you is constantly demanding that you make noise. It's not easy to resist the temptation to tell everyone what you're up to broadcast your next big move. But that's the test. Can you put in the work without the need for constant praise? Can you stay focused on the process, on the small steps, without worrying about how others perceive you. Here's the truth. The loudest person in the room is often the one who has the least to say. The ones who truly move the needle, who truly make a difference, are the ones who don't need to talk about it. They're the ones who quietly do the work, and when it's all said and done, they have results that speak volumes. You don't need to be the loudest person to be the most effective. The quieter you are about your goals, the more your work can shine. Let your actions be the proof of what you're capable of. Your impact will speak for itself. The only thing you need to do is keep moving forward, stay disciplined, and trust that the results will come. And when they do, when those results show up and you've built something real, that's when people will take notice. And when that happens, you won't need to say a word. Your results will do all the talking for you. There's a peace that comes when you're not constantly trying to prove yourself to the world. When you stop chasing the applause and focus solely on doing the work, you experience a kind of calm that most people will never know. In silence, there's no need to make noise. You're not caught in the rush, the chaos, the pressure of everyone else's expectations. You get to move at your own pace, at a pace that's comfortable for you, not dictated by the demands of others. Now think about the weight of constantly having to prove yourself. It's exhausting, isn't it? Day in and day out, you're trying to show people that you're good enough, that you matter, that you've got what it takes. But here's the thing. When you're living your life for someone else's approval, there's no room for real progress. You're not making moves for yourself anymore. You're not living your truth. You're too busy worrying about what others think to even get started on the real work that will elevate you. And that's where you lose yourself. But when you work in silence, you give yourself the greatest gift of all, the gift of peace. It's not something you can buy. It's not something you can chase. It's something you earn by staying focused, staying disciplined, and tuning out the noise. The noise is everywhere. People talking, judging, critiquing. The world is full of distractions and expectations. But when you step back, when you stop worrying about impressing people or chasing fleeting recognition, you realize something important. Peace doesn't come from other people's validation. It comes from within. When you start working in silence, you free yourself from the burden of needing to prove anything to anyone. You stop seeking external approval because you don't need it. You know the work you're doing matters. You know the effort you're putting in counts. You're not worried about being seen or heard. You're focused on what's in front of you, on the journey that only you can walk. That's real freedom. That's peace. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, because you're not living for their applause. You're living for your own fulfillment. I've met so many people throughout my life who are consumed by the need for recognition. They chase after the applause, the likes, the comments. They put their worth in the hands of others, and when that validation doesn't come, they falter. They begin to question themselves. They lose their confidence and their momentum slows down. But the ones who truly shine, the ones who endure and rise above the rest, are the ones who are quiet about their journey. They don't need to tell the world about every step they take. They don't need to broadcast their moves. They just do the work day after day without fanfare, without worrying about who's watching or who's judging. They find peace in knowing that their worth is not defined by external opinions, but by their commitment to their craft. And that's the key, isn't it? The ability to find peace in your own purpose, the ability to walk confidently in the direction of your dreams, without looking for constant validation. It's the quiet confidence that comes when you know you're doing the right thing, even when no one else notices. Because you don't need them to. You know that your value isn't determined by the applause you get or the accolades you earn. Your value is in the work you put in in your consistency, in your dedication to your craft. Think about the last time you felt really at peace with yourself. It wasn't because someone told you that you were doing a great job. It wasn't because you got a pat on the back or a round of applause. No, the true moments of peace come when you're aligned with your purpose, when you're moving in the direction of your dreams, and you're confident in the work you're doing. You know that you're on the right path. You're not looking to anyone else for confirmation. You're not seeking approval. And in that moment, you are free. You are free from the need to be anything other than exactly who you are. You are at peace. I'm telling you, there's real strength in silence. It may seem counterintuitive in a world that's obsessed with noise, with constant updates, and with being seen. But that's exactly what makes silence so powerful. It allows you to shut out all the distractions and really focus on what matters. It allows you to build the life you want on your terms, without the interference of other people's opinions. And when you're working in silence, you're not just building something for the outside world. You're building peace within yourself. Those who work quietly, who grind in the background, don't need to seek validation. They don't need the applause because their worth is not tied to it. They know who they are. They know what they're capable of. They know that their value comes from the work they do and the impact they make, not from the approval of others. They live in peace because they have a deep understanding of themselves and their purpose. So ask yourself, are you chasing the noise, the validation, the praise? Or are you focused on building something real, something that doesn't need to be broadcast to the world? The gift of peace comes when you stop seeking that external validation and begin living for yourself, doing the work that's meaningful to you. And when you do that, when you find peace in your own purpose, nothing, absolutely nothing, can shake you. You'll know that you're doing the work, and that's all that matters. When you work in silence, you step away from the need for instant gratification, and you start building something that lasts. You stop worrying about the applause, the accolades, and the spotlight, and you start focusing on what really matters, the long-term vision. See, success isn't something that happens overnight. It's not a quick win or a lucky break. No, success is a marathon. It's the result of consistent effort over time. And when you're working in silence, you're positioning yourself to run that marathon, one step at a time, building something that will stand the test of time. Look at a company like Amazon. Jeff Bezos didn't build that empire by rushing to be recognized. In the early days, no one could see the vision he had. People thought he was crazy. They thought he was wasting his time. But Bezos wasn't focused on getting immediate praise. He wasn't focused on being the center of attention. He was quietly working behind the scenes, building a company that would change the world. He had a long-term vision of revolutionizing the way people shop, and he didn't let the immediate distractions or the skepticism of others throw him off course. He understood that the work he was doing today would pay off tomorrow. It would take time, but that didn't matter. He was in it for the long haul. And that's the lesson here. When you're working in silence, you're investing in your future. The decisions you make today, the work you put in when nobody's watching, the sacrifices you make now, those are the things that will pay off down the road. But you have to be patient. You have to be willing to sacrifice the quick wins for the bigger picture. You have to be willing to stay focused on the long-term goal, even when you can't see the finish line yet. Think about it like planting a tree. You don't plant a seed and expect it to grow into a full-grown tree overnight. It takes time. You have to nurture it, water it, give it the right environment to grow. And even then, it takes years before you can see the full fruits of your labor. But if you stay patient, if you continue to put in the work, eventually that tree will stand tall. It will give shade, it will bear fruit, and it will provide a legacy for generations to come. But none of that happens if you're in a rush. None of that happens if you're chasing after the next quick fix. It happens when you work in silence, when you invest in the process, when you focus on the long-term vision. That's what it takes to build something great. It's not about getting ahead of the curve or trying to be the first to the finish line. It's about consistency. It's about understanding that real success, the kind that lasts, is built over time. It's the small steps you take every day, the quiet efforts, the sacrifices that no one sees. They all add up, they compound, and before you know it, you've built something that's bigger than you could have ever imagined in your life. It's the same. You've got to have that long-term vision. You've got to understand that the work you do today is an investment in tomorrow. It's the quiet work, the work that doesn't always get recognized, that will make the biggest impact. People might not see the hours you're putting in, the sacrifices you're making, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that you're building something that will stand the test of time. Take a look at some of the most successful people in the world, the ones who've truly made an impact, who've built something lasting. They didn't get there by taking shortcuts. They didn't get there by rushing for quick recognition. They got there by focusing on the long term. They understood that the journey was the reward. They understood that success isn't just about what you accomplish in the next year, the next month, or even the next day. It's about what you build over the course of your life. It's about the foundation you lay down, the work you put in every single day, even when no one is watching. And you know what? That's where real satisfaction comes from. It's not from the applause. It's not from the likes or the shares or the comments. It's from knowing that you're on the right path, that you're doing the work that matters, that you're investing in your future. It's from having the confidence to know that even though the world might not see it right now, you're building something that will pay off in the long run. So, stop looking for shortcuts. Stop trying to impress everyone around you. Stop worrying about what they think or how fast they think you should be going. Work in silence. Focus on the bigger picture. Put in the time, make the sacrifices, and trust that your efforts will pay off. The long-term vision is what will carry you through when times get tough. It's what will keep you motivated when the world seems to be moving too fast. And it's what will allow you to look back one day and say, I built something real. I built something that will last. Because when you're focused on the long-term vision, when you're working in silence with patience and dedication, the sky's the limit. You're not bound by the limitations of today. You're building for tomorrow. And if you stay focused, if you stay committed, if you keep putting in the work, you'll look up one day and realize you've created something greater than you ever thought possible. It's the quiet, consistent effort that wins the race. And it's that long-term vision that will carry you all the way to the finish line. So let me leave you with this. The world doesn't need to see every move you make. It doesn't need to know the hours you put in when nobody's watching, when the sweat drips down your face, when you're working late into the night while the world sleeps. It doesn't need to know the struggles, the frustrations, or the moments when you question yourself. What it needs is the results. What it needs is your quiet determination, the kind that moves mountains without making a sound. When you work in silence, you're not seeking approval. You're not looking for someone to give you a high five or a round of applause. You're focused on your purpose, your mission, and you know that in time the results will speak for themselves. You don't need the world to recognize your grind right now. You don't need validation, because success, true success, is born in the quiet moments when nobody's watching. It's born from the grit, the effort, the discipline that you put in when no one else is around. And when you finally get to the top, when you've built something real, the world will see it. The results will make the noise for you. They'll be your loudest message. Think about it. When you look back on your journey, what are you going to remember? It's not going to be the likes, the retweets, or the applause. It's going to be the quiet moments. The hours spent honing your craft, when you kept going even when no one else believed in you. That's what's going to matter. The effort, the sacrifice, the grit that nobody saw but you. That's what shapes your character. That's what molds your success. When you focus on the work, when you choose to stay consistent even when the road gets tough, you are building something that no one can take away from you. It's in the quiet determination, the work done in silence, that real strength is built. The noise, the distractions, the external validation, that's all temporary. But the impact you make, the legacy you leave behind, that's what lasts. That's what you want to be remembered for. Not the noise, but the legacy of hard work, the dedication to something bigger than yourself, the results that speak louder than anything you could say. And remember, the journey is never easy. It's going to be filled with obstacles. There will be times when you feel like giving up, times when you want to throw in the towel and walk away. But in those moments, that's when you've got to dig deep. You've got to remind yourself why you started. You've got to hold on to that long-term vision, that dream, because it's only through the grind, the consistent, quiet work, that you will reach the destination you've set for yourself. So don't worry about the distractions. Don't worry about the noise. The world may not see your struggles today, but they will see the results tomorrow. They will see the empire you've built with your own two hands, the foundation you laid brick by brick, and they will respect you for it. They will respect you because your success wasn't handed to you. You earned it through the quiet work, the long hours, the resilience when no one was watching. Let the results speak for themselves. You don't need to tell anyone what you're doing, what you've done, or how hard you're working. Your success will say it all. Your work will say it all. Your impact will speak louder than any words ever could. And when you stand at the top, when you've crossed the finish line, you'll know that it was worth it. Every late night, every early morning, every moment when you felt like you were all alone, it was worth it. Because you kept moving forward, you kept grinding, you stayed focused, and now you're living the results of your quiet determination. At the end of the day, it's not about how much noise you make, how many people see your journey, or how many likes you get. It's about the work. It's about the impact. It's about what you leave behind. Keep moving forward, no matter the distractions, no matter the doubts, no matter the noise. Let the work speak for itself. And when it does, trust me, it'll be louder than anything you could say. Thank you.